Hello, how are you doing? My name is Otto and I hope you're having an amazing day. If you're looking to upgrade or buy a small camera, it's really a good time to do so now that we have so many options to choose from. But I know a lot of people are getting confused about which one they should buy, so I am working on a few videos to compare different cameras. The Insta360 Go 3 versus the GoPro 11 video is almost ready, and in a few days I'll have the new DJI Action 4 in the mix. But today we're going to start with the DJI Pocket 2 and the Insta360 Go 3. The DJI Pocket 2 has been a very popular camera that has been around for a few years. Nobody knows if DJI will release a new Pocket 3, but this is a camera that I still recommend. The Pocket 2 is a small device that has a small camera mounted on a 3-axis gimbal. This is a mechanical gimbal and it helps the camera to stay stable and to keep the horizon straight, and in my opinion, it does an amazing job. The Insta360 Go 3 is this super tiny camera that you can use just like this, or you can use it inside this action pod, and this way it looks and feels more like an action camera. The Action Pod will charge the Go 3 and it features a big color screen that you can flip around if you want to use this in selfie mode. Just like the screen on the Pocket 2, this is touch enabled so you can change different settings, but this is one of those situations where we can say with confidence that size matters. The one on the Pocket 2 is way too small and it's just easier to use the one on the Go 3. The Go 3 doesn't need a gimbal because it has what they call flow state. This is Insta360's electronic stabilization, and this combined with horizon level will make you feel like you're using the Go 3 on a gimbal without actually using one. But Insta360's flow state is not perfect, and in low light situations, the stabilization will not perform as good as it does when you have plenty of light, and the videos will have what I call a small vibration glitch effect, which in my opinion doesn't look too good. And this happens because the stabilization needs higher shutter speeds that you're not going to get if there isn't enough light. The gimbal on the Pocket 2 will not have this problem because this is mechanical and it doesn't depend on the shutter speed. So for those situations, it's going to behave in a better way. But there are a few things that you need to consider. First, this section at the top is somehow fragile, so you need to take extra care about the gimbal. And second, the gimbal does have some movement limitations where the Go 3 can move with more freedom. The camera sensor on the DJI Pocket 2 is a bit larger than the one on the Go 3, and that will let more light go into the sensor. And in terms of video resolution, the Pocket 2 can record videos at 4K up to 60 frames per second. And this is probably the main reason why people might choose a camera like this one over the Insta360 Go 3, which has a maximum resolution of 2.7K at 30 frames per second. But to get 2.7K, you need to record in a standard video mode, and the downside of this mode is that it doesn't have horizon level, and it records with a low bitrate of 50 megabits per second. On the other side, the Go 3 has this video mode that they call free frame, and this is the one that I like to use the most because it has horizon level and I can reframe my videos to a horizontal or vertical aspect ratio using the Insta360 app. It also has a higher bitrate than the standard video mode, but free frame mode has a maximum resolution of 1440p at 50 frames per second. If you compare 1440p or even the 2.7K on the Go 3 against the 4K on the Pocket 2, the video quality on the Pocket 2 is going to be higher. But if you're going to use your videos for social media, the Go 3 will be good enough for many users. I really don't feel that the Insta360 Go 3 was designed to compete against cameras that can record at 4K, and instead, it has many features that I found to be useful. And I'm talking about the small size and low weight of the main camera, which is waterproof down to 4 meters. And the back of the camera is magnetic, which is great to be able to place it in different places by itself or using one of the multiple accessories that you get inside the box, which are also magnetic. For example, this pendant that you can wear under your shirt and then place the Go 3 like this, or you can use this to attach the Go 3 to a non-magnetic surface. With the easy clip, you can place the Go 3 inside this pot, change the angle if you need to, and use this on a hat or anywhere where you can fit the clip to create different kinds of POV videos. You can use simple voice commands to start or stop recording, and the action pod can also be used as a remote control to monitor the Go 3 or to change the settings, but the range, well, it's only about 5 meters, so don't expect anything crazy, alright? One of the biggest advantages of the Pocket 2 that the Go 3 doesn't have is that it has active tracking. This will let you track or follow a subject or even some kind of object, and this can be helpful in many situations, especially for solo content creators, for vloggers, and so on. You need to know that the tracking on the Pocket 2 is not really perfect. Sometimes it will lose the subject and it doesn't work in 4K at 60 frames per second. But I never found this to be an issue since you can use it in 4K at 48 frames per second. I also took the time to test the maximum range, and it is about 10 or 11 meters. I like that the Pocket 2 can be used with a micro SD card. You can buy multiple ones and not worry about this. The Go 3, on the other hand, has an internal memory of 32, 64, or 128 gigabytes. And once you decide to buy either one of these, you won't be able to add more memory. 64 gigabytes should be enough for most users, but if you want to play it safe and you have the extra money, get the 128 gigabyte version. The battery life on the Pocket 2 will last for about 2 hours, and the Insta360 Go 3 has been advertised to last for almost 3 hours. This is true if you want to use the standard video mode that I mentioned before, and if you want to use the free frame mode, which is probably the way to go with this camera, you will get about 1 hour and 50 minutes. If you only use the Go 3 camera without the action pod, this will run for about 45 minutes. That would be using the standard video mode, and about 35 minutes if you select free frame mode. Something important to consider here is that the battery is not replaceable on either camera, so it's probably a good idea to carry a power bank like this one. So it's time to test the microphone on the Insta360 Go 3, and this is what it sounds like inside my studio. Now this is the same test using the microphone on the DJI Pocket 2, and this is what it sounds like inside my studio. Next, we're going to compare these microphones outdoors on a windy day. It's kind of windy right now, so I really want to see if these cameras can handle the wind. So, microphone test right now, so I really want to see if these cameras can handle the wind. So, microphone test. The microphone on the Go 3 does a good job, but I would not recommend to use this if it's too windy, and yes, I did use the wind reduction feature. The other problem with this is that right now there is no way to connect an external microphone, and I get the feeling that that is something that they are not going to be able to fix. If you get the Pocket 2 with this accessory called the Do It All handle, connecting an external mic is not going to be an issue. Overheating is one of the biggest concerns when it comes to these kind of cameras, and I can say that the Pocket 2 and the Go 3 have not given me any trouble when I use them outdoors, where there is movement and some wind, but bear in mind that they do get warm to the touch. Testing them indoors on a hot day with no movement, no wind, and no air conditioning is a different story. The Go 3 outside of the action pod did not have any problems, but inside the action pod, using free frame at 50 frames per second, it overheating at 1 hour and a half. And the DJI Pocket 2 also overheated at the same time using 2.7K at 60 frames per second. Now I just want to make it clear that if you're going to use either of these cameras at, for example, 24 frames per second, they're going to be just fine. I feel that choosing one camera or the other is going to depend on what you like the most. The Go 3 is a versatile and fun camera to use with a bunch of features, not to mention the small size and the lightweight. But if you want to record in 4K and not worry about the stabilization if there isn't enough light, I think that the DJI Pocket 2 can be a good choice. It is also $50 cheaper than the Insta360 Go 3 if you buy the standard version. And if you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please let me know which camera you like more, and how about if you hit that like button for me. The links to these cameras are going to be in the video description. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Arrivederci. Wait, is it arrivederci or is it a presto? Because, you know, bye.